uh, 23 officials over attempting fake continuous voter registration. And last on our lineup has to do with Rosa 2023. Ayade Umahi and Ikbazu meets Wiki in Port Harcourt. Well, these are the issues that we'll be looking at. Barrister Akintayo Balogun, a public affairs analyst, will be joining us to provide insights on these issues. But before we go into looking at the issues, let's go on a short break. When we return, we'll bring the issues to you.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
There are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what's the blood.
I have fought a very family.
Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're still watching ATN Politics. And with me in the studio is Barrister Akintayo Balogun. Barrister Akintayo, glad to have you on ATN Politics.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Well, let's get started with the first issue on our lineup for today, which has to do with the 2023 campaign. Atiku takes presidential campaign to the United States. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, has taken his campaign to the United States. Atiku, who left Nigeria on Wednesday, will embark on a week-long campaign in the United States. As sources close to the presidential candidate reveals. In the United States, he will be meeting with Nigerians and the business community. Atiku's visits to the United States and speculations that the former vice president cannot freely, visit the North American country. All efforts to verify the visits from his media advisors proved abortive. Recall that Atiku had flagged off his campaign 3 weeks ago in Akwa Ibom. He took the campaigns to Kaduna and Edo State. He's expected to return back to the country and take the campaigns to Ekiti State on Monday and Ondo State, where he would continue his state-to-state visits. Meanwhile, former governor of Ondo State, Dr. Olushola Memiko, has vowed not to abandon the River State governor, Nyesom Wike, and other governors of the People's Democratic Party over their agitation for regional equity within the party. Memiko, in a statement by his special assistant on media and digital communications, John Akin Duro, faulted the Presidential Campaign Council for listing Mimiko as the leader of the campaign in Ondo State. He said it must be stated with emphasis that Dr. Mimiko was neither consulted by anyone nor consented to his inclusion in any Ondo State PDP Presidential Campaign Council list. For the avoidance of doubt, he said, and to set the record straight, Mimiko is unwavering in his commitments to the principle of equity, fairness, and justice, through which he believes a credible push for a PDP victory is possible. Let's hold on at this point and get back to our guest, Barrister Balogun. Barrister Balogun, what do you make of this movement by Atiku? He has visited 3 states in Nigeria, Akwa Ibom, Kaduna, and Edo State. Now he has suspended Nigeria and has gone to the United States. What do you make of, the visit to the United States, the campaign?
Well, it didn't come to me as a surprise.
Okay.
Visits to the United Kingdom, to the United States. You know that the candidate of the Labour Party has also done that. He has moved around the countries of the world to create this awareness. So he's going to the United States is also not out of place. It's, I believe it's part of the campaign.
Okay.
However, I have this, I really don't understand what they hope to achieve. Number one, anybody who is outside this country, as at the time the election is being held, cannot vote.
Okay.
Anyone who is based abroad who does not have a PVC cannot vote. So, what exactly is the essence of campaigning to people who cannot vote? Are you doing it just to create the awareness, or to bring them back home, to tell them, come back home if you have a PVC and come and vote? Or what exactly is the intention? Or is it to woo investors in the event that they win the election? I still wish I can see some of these campaign directors and ask them, and put this question to them: what exactly is the essence of going out of the country to do these campaigns? Do you want to bring them to the country to come and vote? Or do you want them to convince Nigerians that you are the best candidate? That's my little, that's the issue I have with this going abroad to campaign. Elections are conducted here in Nigeria. Elections are not conducted online, such that maybe you can vote from anywhere. You have to be in Nigeria in a particular polling unit to be able to vote or participate. So when you go on your party and you are talking to people who the likelihood of being part of the election is near to zero, I honestly don't know what they hope to achieve with that.
Well, but Mr. Balogun, there are individuals who feel that Nigerians in diaspora tend to wield some influence. If you look at it critically, some individuals who are outside the shores of this country tends to, command certain influence, particularly within their families and within their localities. So don't you think they should also be given the opportunity to contribute to nation building by asking critical questions, especially that they have been given the opportunity, they have the opportunity to, experience how democracy, functional democracy is. So they are better placed to ask certain questions, and that they can also influence their relatives and friends back home in Nigeria.
Yes, you see, that is the only place where I feel this going abroad to campaign will be meaningful.
Okay.
They can call their people back at home and say, okay, well, we have heard from Atiku, we have heard from Tinubu, we have heard from what we have heard from our discussions with them, they are the best candidates. This person is the best. That is the best that they can do, which for me forms less than 5% of what is required. For example, now, most of the votes come from the grassroots level, comes from, people who have little or no access to all these people abroad. Those are the places you're supposed to go and see how to have interactions with them. When that is achieved, you realize that you have achieved over 70 to 80% of what you need for an election. But when your emphasis is on going abroad, talk to them abroad, what you achieve is very little compared to what you would have achieved if you are doing and spending all that resources here in Nigeria. So for me, it's like spending so much to achieve very little. They will just call and convince them. And even if you call and convince people, you cannot compel them on who they should vote for. But when you are here in the country and you are telling the person, this is what I can do, these are the things that I hope I can achieve, please vote for me. When you do that here in Nigeria by yourself, you discover that you would achieve more.
So by implication, you're trying to say more energy should be dissipated on campaigning within the country instead of, taking these campaigns abroad. But Barrister, now let's look at the other issue. Right now, Atiku has gone to the United States to, try to see how he can convince Nigerians in the United States and get to meet with business communities, But let's come back. Before we go back to the state, he's saying, I am not part of the process. What do you see? What do you make of this, dissociation of Mimiko from the Presidential Campaign Council?
Well, I don't know if I'll call him the leader or I'll call him the alleged leader. I don't know if I'll say he's the leader or the alleged leader, because that's, with his statements now, it means that an appointment was done without his knowledge. And even if it was done without with his knowledge, it wasn't done with his consent. He never consented to this appointment. And that is a major clog in the wheel or in the progress of the Atiku-led campaign. It is a major problem. It's like saying the person who is to host you when you get to Ondo State is saying that, no, I am not your host. You didn't tell me you are coming. And that is a major problem. Unfortunately, for several weeks now, we've been talking about this in-house crisis of PDP, hoping that they will be able to resolve it. But as it appears, it's like the gulf is getting deeper and wider by the day. Now, I think early this week, we heard Governor Uton of Benue State saying that people were appointed into committee without his knowledge, without his consent. That is showing that this governor is not behind PDP or PDP candidates. Now we are having Mimiko. Mimiko is more or less the strongest political figure of PDP in Ondo State. Everything that has been done is without my consent, without my knowledge, without my permission. It's a major clause because as it is now, nothing good or nothing strong would happen. Now, this crisis, it goes back to the issue that is between Governor Wike and the party.
Absolutely.
Yes, it goes back to it. Because he has said in that publication, he said that he cannot ditch Wike at this junction. So it's like saying that there are two camps in the party.
Yeah.
There's the Wike camp, there's the Atiku camp, or let's say the chairman's camp, which has now separated the party. And every day we are beginning to see that separation is getting stronger, is getting, wider, and the gulf is becoming bigger. Now, Mimiko saying this now is showing that the division is still there. And I don't know how they intend to resolve that issue. If the strongest man in the party is saying that I am not part of what you are doing, I don't have a consent, I don't know the people that are in your committee, then it appears that Atiku may have to look for an alternative if he would want to have a successful campaign in Ondo State.
We're talking about alternative. What alternative do you think there are, given the time frame? We're talking about Tuesday. Today is Thursday, and already he is in the United States. So what opportunities do you think
Well, for
are
me,
available?
as a party, I believe they can do something, they can achieve something. Atiku does not have to be there in person. He doesn't have to be there, be around. There's a party structure on ground. There's a state party structure on ground. There they can quickly make arrangements. Of course, the PDP has a chairman in the state. The chairman could step up and see how to get things done. I can't remember now, but I believe PDP to have had governors. I can't remember the name of former governors of Ondo State who was a member of the party. He could also step in and be there, and it doesn't have to be a Mimiko or it can be another person. But if there must be election, if there must be campaign rather on Tuesday, if they would have to do something on Tuesday, then between today, Thursday, and Tuesday, they need to set up another committee to get their house moving.
But hold on a minute. Let's look at Ondo before we return back to the night. How would it look like if on Tuesday Atiku proceeds to Ondo State to go ahead with the campaign without Mimiko being on stage?
Well, for me, I don't think it will make any much difference.
Okay.
For me, that's the way I see it. I know it's like you are coming to my house and I am telling you that I am not aware you are coming. But the point is that I have come. And we must also agree that the party has followers. There are a lot of followers in the state. So it is not, you would not, because of one big masquerade, stop every other thing from happening. No, it's not necessary. So if care is not taken, once his absence may not even be felt.
Okay.
If care is not taken, all they need to do is between now and Tuesday, put their house in order, get other persons who are capable, who have been in top positions in the party, and let them run these things. You'll be surprised that on Tuesday, campaigns will happen, everything will happen clean. After all, Imiko is not a sitting governor. One of the persons that would have the ability to probably stall a campaign is a governor. If he says that no, you cannot go ahead, you don't have security clearance, you can just look for one excuse or the other, and stop. But Mimiko is not a sitting governor, he doesn't have that power. So if he's refusing and there is no arrangement that can, in fact, there should be an arrangement within this period, and then you go ahead, get your campaign going.
Well, okay. Now, Atiku is in the United States. Beyond meeting Nigerians, he's going to meet with the business community. What do you think he should be looking out for? Because, of course, considering the situation in which we are in now, and of course, you know, the United States is one country where there are quite a number of investors that Nigerians would want them to come to, you know, invest in Nigeria. You know, looking at that, what do you think he should be doing with respect to that? You know, meeting Nigerians, discussing with them now, the business community.
Okay. For me, you know, this drive to have investors in Nigeria was very strong right from, in fact, it's been very strong right from President Olusegun Obasanjo's tenure in office. You know, many times when he goes abroad, that's one of his major outing. He's always inviting them, please come to the country, come to Nigeria, let's get things done. You know, he's always, and I believe that is also going to be the emphasis of Atiku wherever he's going to. Let them come in. We have had in the last few years, we have had so many investors withdrawing from the country. We have had many companies shutting down. You know, so many things have been happening that has not been too good for the system. So it would be good if his emphasis is on win investors. Tell them, I will create a government in Nigeria that would give you soft landing, that will make business easy for you, that will make this conducive for you. If he can do that, it's fine. In fact, that should be his target. Going there to campaign will he tell them to vote for him? So it's all about telling people, and you would also agree with that in the last 1 year, the influx of Nigerians to the United Kingdom and the US have been very high. You know, this is also an opportunity to tell Nigerians to come back home. Though that may be difficult to convince Nigerians.
You know, when you say you should ask Nigerians to come back home, when a lot of Nigerians are looking for the opportunity to also leave the country.
Exactly.
So I don't seem to get that.
Yes, you know, that's why I like I said earlier, I still find it difficult to understand the rationale behind flying so many people abroad, you know, to go and convince them. Convince them on what? Who would leave this country and go to the US or to the UK and would want to come back with the situation in this country? So the best he can do is, okay, call your people at home, tell them to vote for me. Investors and businessmen, I intend to make this nation a better place. So bring your business to Nigeria. For me, those are the two things he can achieve going abroad to persons to talk to. That is the best he can achieve. Aside that, you can't tell Nigerians to fly from wherever they are to come and vote for you. That would practically not work.
Do we see Tinubu also embarking on this visit? Because of course you started by saying it was initiated by the candidate of the Labour Party, and now we're seeing Atiku doing it. And perhaps do we see Tinubu going same direction in the nearest future, the coming days?
Yes, I would also expect him to do likewise. I would also expect him, though if you watch their campaigns, they've been giving the impression that that is not their target. Well, we don't know. But let's still watch. I'm not a member of their campaign team, so I don't know their calendar or what they plan to do. I don't have it. But I would also expect that they would visit other countries, because they're all doing the same thing. You know, somebody went to the flooded area, next day, the next person went. You know, so it's all going to be, it's expected. It's expected, because the truth is we cannot play down the influence of these people abroad. We cannot jettison it. We cannot just see it as nothing. We have to also give it that little place. So I wouldn't be surprised if in the next few weeks or months we see Tinubu also visiting the US or the UK or any of the European countries to tell them and also to convince them and to woo businessmen into Nigeria.
Well, let's see how that will happen, but time will definitely unfold this event. On this note, let's go on a short break. When we return, we'll bring the next issue to you, which has to do with 2023. INEC sanctioned 23 officials over attempting fake continuous voter registration. We'll be right back.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people. All of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what's the plan.
I have fought a very family.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're still watching ATN Politics, and I've been speaking with Barrister Akintayo Balogun. Barrister Akintayo Balogun is a public affairs analyst. Let's move on to the next issue on our lineup, which has to do with towards 2023 INEC to sanction 23 officials over attempted fake continuous voter registration. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has commenced an in-house sanctioning of 23 officials. Speaking at the Commission's third quarterly meeting with political parties in Abuja, INEC National Chairman Professor Mahmoud said 23 officials attempted to register some fake voters 40 times. He said the commissions deployed thousands of diligent staffs for the continuous voter registration exercise, and vast majority of them discharged their duties consciously. Unfortunately, a few of them did not. The fictitious registrations were carried out by some of the registration officers involved in the field exercise and could easily be traced. Each registration machine is operated using an access code tied to a dedicated email assigned to staffs. There is therefore an audit trail that gives the total number of persons registered by each official involved in the registration exercise. In some cases, some of them made as many as 40 attempts or more to register one fake voters. As a result, the commissions have so far identified 23 registration officers involved in this unethical conduct, and disciplinary actions has commenced. We shall continue to protect the integrity of our voter register. It is pivotal to credible elections. It is also a national asset and easily the largest database of citizens in Africa and one of the largest in the world. This is Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, the INEC National Chairman, speaking. Let's hold on at this point and get back to our guest, Barrister Akintayo. Barrister Akintayo, what do you make of this revelation coming from INEC? You know, INEC saying, well, 23 of our officials, our staffs, attempted to compromise the process.
Okay, it's actually quite worrisome. It's unfortunate that we heard that this is happening. Now, some few weeks ago, the spokesman of CUPP, coalition of all the parties, CUPP,
United Political
yes,
Parties.
Exactly.
Okay,
yes, he came back. He came out. He was one that actually raised this alarm that something is happening with registration. He brought out several of those registration documents showing the same picture of the same person appearing several times. In fact, in the news that was just read out, we discovered that one person was registered as much as 40 times. Now, the news that came out earlier, I think we had almost 2 million fake registered voters. It really goes to show that there's this desperation in the system, which must be addressed as soon as possible. Now, when he raised this alarm, initially it was like he's just raising a false alarm, But few days ago, we started hearing that there are actually officials that are compromised in this. It now shows that some persons somewhere are trying to do everything. And you see, let's be honest, it's been long distance started. It's been long.
Okay.
I happened to be in 2011 when I served, in the state where I served, within 2 weeks, my colleagues, I was in the state capital. In the state capital, it's difficult for you to try to mess with the results. So, but my colleagues that went to the rural areas, when they came back, they were forced. It wasn't something that they dare not say no. If you try to say no, the consequences may be there. So they told us that at a point, in fact, within 2 weeks, they had completed the registration of some of their communities. And then the community leaders came in and said, see, we need to have more. We need to have more. The larger the crowd, the more.
Okay.
And before you know what, it was then I learned that palm kernel has the same print with the thumbprint of a human being.
Okay.
So palm kernel was now used. Of course, during registration, you have to use your entire 5 fingers. Palm kernel was now used in place of fingers.
Okay.
And that is how they kept on registering, and registration went on for another more than 2 weeks. Okay. Now, that same problem is what we're having now. How they went about it, how they were able to achieve it this time around, I don't know. But thank God, it's been traced. And INEC is saying that one person is registered. In fact, one fake person, not even one real person, one fake person is registered as much as 40 times. It's a big problem. It's a big problem, and we're hoping that they were able to trace every fake registration and then to withdraw it from the.
But okay, now looking at the capacity of INEC to dictate this,
Yes.
What does it speak of? The ability of the commission to ensure a credible process, credible elections. The commission coming out still, we can trail this, and we're going to get these guys punished.
Well, it's good, and it's applaudable that they're able to trace it. That's very good. It's impressive. But I don't know if they would have done that if somebody had not raised an alarm.
Okay.
That's one. But fine. They've been able to trace it, and they have seen, in fact, they've been able to trace the staff. It is as to whether they can arrest that person if he's still available. That one is another issue. But it's good, and I'm glad that they've been able to trace it. Now, having done that, what is the next thing? I believe having traced, the fake registration, it shouldn't take them anything to simply delete or remove those persons. It's as simple as that. If you're able to trace it to the email of the person involved in all this registration, from what we read, every machine is connected to the email of the person operating it.
Sure.
So, fine, if you're able to trace that, then the same machine should also be able to, having detected the fake person, let's say one person registered up to fake 40 persons, as we heard. Fine. All it takes is to also remove that same 40. Remove it. So that if we have 100 proper registered voters, it's just that same 100 that will come on the day of the election, and just that same 100 will be allowed to vote.
Well, Barrister Akintayo, yes, beyond, deleting those false fake registration, the issue is these INEC staffs who are involved in this probably must have been influenced. They cannot just, dare to embark on fake registration. So, how about those people who must have influenced these people? What should we'll come back to what the commission, let's look at what the commission should do to these people. What do you think should be done to these staffs? Does such crime warrant dismissal? Of course, we don't. I don't really know the sections of the public service rule, but of course, compromising the voter registrar, what penalty do you think it should attract?
Okay. Let me use the incidents of the one that happened in Kogi State. There's the allegation of double voting by the sitting governor of Kogi State. That he had been registered in Lagos, and then there was another registration in Kogi State after that was just before he was. Well, that was when he now took over the ticket of late
Abubakar Audu.
Now, there were pictures that showed this registration being done in Kogi State, and the picture captured the faces of the persons, the officials that were involved.
Okay.
INEC called them, disciplined them, and I think about 3 of their staff involved were all dismissed. There's actually a provision, just that I cannot lay my hands on it now. There's a provision in the INEC guideline that where a staff is involved in such complication, the person will be dismissed. So it has happened. That Kogi State, They were dismissed, though they went to court. They went to the National Industrial Court, and the dismissal was the court said no, the dismissal was wrongfully done. But that still does not mean whether they committed the offense or not. Probably the method, the way the dismissal was done, is what was not proper. But from what happened, or what we received, they committed this offense. They were involved in it, and then they were dismissed. So INEC, all that INEC is required to do, we have 23 persons. You have seen them. You have listed them. It's whether they've been arrested is where the issue is now. But once they are arrested or they are picked up, you do the proper thing. If it warrants a dismissal, you dismiss them. Or if it is a demotion or it's a suspension, something should be done. It should not be left silent. Well, I wouldn't expect that Professor Mahmoud would leave that and just be silent with it. But there would definitely be either a dismissal or a suspension or a demotion or a query.
Well, beyond this, how about those individuals? Perhaps sometimes these staffs are being influenced by certain politicians or political parties. What then happens to those who influence this INEC officials?
You see, that place now, the issue of proof will have to come in.
Okay.
If you, as a person, have been arrested and you have been arrested for being involved in manipulating, and then you now mention so person is the one that influenced me or that paid me, it will now be a duty on you as that official. That still doesn't exonerate the official, because ordinarily he should not be influenced.
No, of course he will be punished, but I'm trying to talk about people
now,
who are coming
if
from
you are saying that
influence the system.
If you are saying that I was influenced, you should be able to prove it.
Okay.
You should be able to prove it. And that is where it will be very difficult for them. Because how do you say it? How would you present it? How would you say that it is so person that gave me money, or it's person that made promises, or, well, if they have proof.
Of course, sometimes there are WhatsApp messages, there are phone calls.
Yes, that's what I said. This is where the issue of proof comes in. If you can prove it, it doesn't exonerate you. It doesn't mean you'll be free. But if you can prove it, that so person was involved, this person gave me money, this person influenced me, or this person placed me under duress and forced me to do it. Once you can prove that, then that person too will also come and answer for his own action.
But how do you think? Do you think the commission should just stop at discipline? Ensuring that the staffs who perpetrate these things are disciplined, or should it be taken forward to the point of getting influencers also, disciplined?
Well, the powers of the commission, starts and ends with their own official.
Okay.
You cannot go beyond that. Beyond then now, if you are trying to now say, okay, there are influences outside the officials, then the police will come in.
Okay.
That is where the police comes in. A proper report is made to the police.
Okay.
That we have social person who placed our staff under duress, or who influenced our staff, or who did this, who did that. A report is made to the police. The police will take it up from there. But for their own staff, INEC has the power to either dismiss or suspend or demote or query their own staff. But after that, any other influencer, it will be the duty of the police at that point.
Well, we just hope that the Independent National Electoral Commission, as promised, will do the needful. And if possible, that should be extended to those who are bait and, influence this process in order to compromise the national register. Let's see how time will unfold. On this note, let's move on to the next issue. But before we get to the next issue, let's go on a short break. We'll be right back.
Every day, our lives are changed by it. Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what's the blood.
I have fought a very family.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on Atn Politics today.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're still watching ATN Politics. And this is the last segment of the show for today. This last segment, the issue for consideration has to do with Road to 2023. Ayade Umahi, Ikpeazu meets Wike in Port Harcourt. The governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, on Wednesday held a closed-door meeting with the governors of Cross River State, Ben Ayade, that of Ebonyi State, Dave Umahi, and Abia State, Keze Ikpeazu. The meeting was held in Obiapo local government area of Port Harcourt. Ayade and Umahi recalled that they too had dumped the People's Democratic Party to join the All Progressive Congress, and there are indications that the governors are meeting with the River State governor and Ikpeazu over the crisis rocking the opposition People's Party. Ayade and Umahi might be seeking Wike's and his allies' support in the forthcoming presidential election. The governor of River State, Wike, and his counterpart are, pushing for a balance within the People's Democratic Party. They're pushing for fairness, equity, and justice within the leadership position of the People's Democratic Party. And perhaps this visit may just be to take advantage of the crisis within the party. Let's hold on at this point and get back to our guests for want of time. Christopher Logan, what do you make of this visit? Recall that Ayade and Wike have not been in good terms. But of course, herein you have Ayade and Umahi, all Progressive Congress, former People's Democratic Party member, who are now in the All Progressive Congress and coming to visit the governor in a season where there's turmoil or turbulence within the People's Democratic Party.
Well, for me, when I saw the pictures of the visits, I just smiled. Two APC governors standing this way and two PDP governors standing this way. When just before Ayade left PDP, he had serious exchange of words with Wike, and it was so obvious that everything was not well between the two of them, and it culminated in Ayade leaving the PDP for the APC. Now we are having a meeting of two governors, one from two APC governors and two PDP governors. Unfortunately, again, the PDP governor, that is Wike, is having issues with his party. So, I was like, what could this meeting be for? Is it now to convince Wike at this junction to follow their candidate, or is it to mend fence? The misunderstanding that have been between them, are they trying to, put things in place, or what could warrant this kind of meeting at this point? But of course, we know it's still all going to be political. It's politically oriented. There has not been any news or any updates as to what their visit was about, whether it was casual or they just got together. But from the reports we read, they had a closed-door meeting. So definitely issues that affects the country, issues that affect their states, and issues that affect their party definitely would have been in the front burner in their discussion.
But with these meetings, happening, different groups visiting the River State governor, and the People's Democratic Party turning, blind eyes to what is actually happening, and the River State governor going to Lagos to endorse member of another party in the, forthcoming governorship election in Lagos State. What do you make of the way and manner in which the People's Democratic Party, particularly the presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar, handling the situation?
Well, the truth is that we may not really know what exactly is the bone of contention. Openly they keep saying it's the regional equality and all that. That is the reason I should also resign and all that. We have had a lot of that. But we know that there are issues. There are more issues than the eyes can see, which they are not really telling us. But there is more to it. There is much more to it. It's not just about his resignation. It's not just it. There's a lot to it. And unfortunately, they all seem to just be at a point where there is no going forward, there's no going backward. But my own query with Governor Wike at this point is, involving yourself in anti-party activity at this junction is not appropriate. You may not support somebody, but don't kind of spit into the face of your own party. Going to Lagos, a state where PDP has its own candidate, going there to endorse the candidate of another party, for me, is not proper. It's not the best thing, it's not the right thing. You can either support your own party or you remain silent. It's as simple as that. You can say, okay, I am not interested in being part of what my party is doing. I choose to be silent. Than for you now to begin to support the ambition of another party whose interest, whose manifesto, whose vision and mission and everything, that's if they have any, is different from yours. So that is where I have a problem with him. Fine, you are not in the camp of the president, then just stay aloof. You don't have to paint a picture and make everything look so bad for your party. Now, there's a meeting of 4 governors, 2 from your party, 2 from the other party. It now shows that, yes, that crisis is actually very deep.